This is not a standard DualSense wireless controller, but it is extraordinary because it has 2 extra buttons on the back side. Do you want to know what it is? Let's get started. This video is sponsored by eXtremRate. If you want to find gamepad mods, accessories, cosmetics, don't look at other brands. Stick with eXtremRate, as their products are fantastic, professionally made, and reliable. Visit the eXtremRate shop link in the description. So this is the Extremerate Rise Remap kit for the PS5 controller. This kit adds 2 extra buttons at the back of the gamepad, and we can remap any standard button into it. Let's unbox it and see what we got. This is the replacement back cover. I chose the white one to match the DualSense color scheme. This is the extra buttons and its base. Next we got a plastic opener tool, a Phillips screwdriver, and a bunch of fasteners. And these are the mod kit FPC. Without it, this kit is nothing. The last one is the warranty card. And this is what you get for buying the Extremerate Rise PS5 controller mod kit. Currently, the Extremerate Rise PS5 controller mod kit is compatible with the BDM010 motherboard only. To find out if your gamepad has the BDM010 motherboard, see the sign on the packaging. Make sure it reads exactly like that. Now we will disassemble the PS5 controller. Please follow these steps. Take the plastic opener tool and pry the R1 and the L1 button. Get the Phillips screwdriver and remove the screw below it. Again, get the plastic opener tool and pry the black plastic part. Get the Phillips screwdriver and remove the screw below it. Use the plastic opener tool again to unlatch the clips and pry the controller all the way until it is separated. Then remove the battery. Remove the left, the middle, and the right screw. Unblock the lower microphone. Use a tweezer if you have to. Then remove the battery compartment. Disconnect the upper microphone. Then disconnect the touchpad. Disconnect the right trigger ribbon cable. And disconnect the left one too. Unlatch the clips that hold the motherboard. Then lift the board completely. And you can see the motherboard type right there. It is the BDM010. If yours is not BDM010, you cannot continue with this guide. If you don't want to remap the touchpad button, you can skip removing these two screws. Then separate the shell and the frame completely. Remember, you can skip this step if you don't want to remap the touchpad button. Remove the touchpad button. Remove the screws from the touchpad. Then lift the frame. Observe this diagram to solder the lead wire to the touchpad board. Then reassemble the touchpad. Run the wire through an opening on the frame. And install the screws. Reinstall the touchpad. Run the touchpad remap wire through an opening on the middle frame. And don't forget to slide in the touchpad flex ribbon cable. And install the screws. Remove the trigger flex ribbon cable. At this stage, we should not put the motherboard back in its place because we haven't installed the main FPC. Frankly, I made a mistake. Anyway, keep watching the video as it doesn't do any damage. If you don't want to map the L3 and the R3 button, you can skip this step. Get a thin FPC board and align it to the L3 and the R3 solder points. Use a masking tape to stick it temporarily. Then solder it. You can then remove the masking tape. And it will look like this. So as I said earlier, we haven't installed the large FPC board, so we must lift the motherboard once again. Get the main or the large FPC board and align it with the controller flex ribbon cable. Now we can place the motherboard permanently. Plug the touchpad ribbon cable. Reconnect the upper microphone. If you skipped installing the touchpad remap section, you don't need to follow this step, as now we need to solder the lead wire to the main FPC board. Observe this diagram. Use a masking tape to hold the FPC board to the gamepad motherboard. Then solder the lead wire to the FPC board. And you can remove the masking tape. Get the FPC for the right trigger button and install it. Now get the left trigger FPC board and install it. Next, reinstall the battery compartment. And fasten it with the screws. Then reconnect the lower microphone. Now reinstall the battery. Peel the backing paper and stick the FPC board into the battery. Now connect all the FPC headers into the main FPC board. Manage the touchpad leads wire and make sure it sits neatly around the motherboard. Now get the back cover and install the extra button base. I apologize for this too bright video as this was out of my expectation. Get the thin screws and fasten the extra button base. Now get the extra button and install the metal pole into it. Next, attach the extra buttons to its base. Slide in the FPC board through the opening and install the back cover completely. Connect the FPC header to the remap kit button board. And place the remap kit button board to the base. And screw it down. Now let's assemble the remap kit button cover. And then install it. And let's install the remaining screws. Install the faceplate. Then finally, reinstall the L1 and the R1 button. Before I show you how to program the remap kit, better read this info. So basically we can map any of the standard buttons to the K1 and the K2 button. And we can map the same button to the K1 and the K2 button. Like for example, we can remap the R1 to K1 and the R1 to K2. To begin recording or programming the K1 or the K2 button, you can press the record button for 3 seconds or press the combo buttons for 5 seconds. The LED will turn on afterward. Then you can begin mapping any button to the K1 or the K2 button and end the recording by pressing those buttons again. To clear the K1 or the K2 button function, enter the record mode, then do like you mapped the button for the first time. If somehow you want to clear the K1 and the K2 button at once, press those combo buttons for 5 seconds. So to see how the remap kit works, I've installed the gamepad tester on my phone. To start remapping any button to any extra buttons, you need to get into the recording mode. There are 2 ways to get into the recording mode. The first one is to press and hold the record button on the backside for 3 seconds. The LED will turn on, then you are ready to program the kit. To exit the recording mode, press the record button again for 3 seconds. Now let's try activating the recording mode by pressing the combo buttons. When the LED turns on, you are ready to program the kit. To end the recording mode, press those buttons again for 5 seconds. In this video, I will use the record button to show how the kit works. Press the record button for 3 seconds. For example, press and hold the L1 and the K2 button until the LED blinks. Since we are now at the recording mode, we can assign the K1 button too. So let's try pressing the R1 and the K1 button together. To end the recording mode, press the record button for 3 seconds. Now let's test the K1 and the K2 button. Observe the gamepad tester. To clear the K1 and the K2 button function, we must get into the recording mode. Then press the R1 and the K1 button, then the L1 and the K2 button. The LED blinks slower. Then press the record button again for 3 seconds. And the extra buttons function are now disabled. I've said that we can assign the same button to the K1 and the K2 button. I will show you what it is. Get into the recording mode. Press the L2 and the K2 button, followed by the L2 and the K1 button. End the recording mode and test it. Now let's try clearing the K1 and the K2 button function in one shot. Press and hold the combo buttons for 5 seconds. And there you go, it is clear now. So I think the function of this kit is straightforward. It does add 2 extra buttons and you can map any of the available buttons into it. Unfortunately, that is the only function. I mean, there is no turbo, no combo function. But I'm sure eXtremRate will offer more exciting kit for the PS5 later. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, I hope you like it.